Okay, I'm here today to complete the Ethics of Diversity assignment for the PPS 3 module. I'm going to be scrolling through my reflection journals, the past assignments, and the current assignment objectives as I do this, just to kind of keep myself on track and keep my thoughts kind of succinct and coherent. The first objective is to analyze potential bias identified throughout the course. Um, this is a tough one. I think that the course alone didn't help me identify any bias per se. I actually think that throughout the course of didactic and clinical year and conversations with classmates and engaging lectures that we've had, were far more effective than me sitting on my computer and clicking through these tests to try and identify where my bias was. I think the aspect of reflecting with classmates certainly helped me to analyze perhaps some of the biases that I do have, both positive and negative. I think one of the biggest ones that stood out to me was the sexuality one, simply because, I had a personal friend that I kind of identified through the process of this course and also the past 2 years, that I judged pretty hard, basically because of my lack of understanding of what she was choosing to do with her life. And maybe even saying choosing isn't the right word. It's just who she is and what she participates in. And I think the part of this course that was good was being able to kind of say those things out loud. It's things that I had been thinking about over the past 2 years, but never really looked into further. So I think that was beneficial in kind of putting all my thoughts together with that one in particular. I think kind of my fight through all of this, and it will continue to be as I'm practicing, will be weight bias, just because I've seen it so rampant in medicine, and I've seen it affect patient care. I'm never going to forget how many times when I was in the ICU and I had physicians that would refuse to feed patients on ventilators because they were obese and they've got enough stores. And that's going to forever stick with me. And I think that that weight bias is something that I'm going to continue to fight for moving forward in my career. And hopefully my contribution during this process has helped others kind of bring that to the forefront of their mind, is my hope. The second objective is to identify the intersection of personal beliefs and the practice of medicine. I think that this program and my cohort especially have done an amazing job at communicating about personal beliefs and where they should sit as far as your medical practice. I think our class as a whole truly understands and will practice that our personal beliefs shouldn't influence how we practice medicine. We don't have to necessarily agree with 100% of what we're doing, but we need to understand that it's our moral obligation to our patients and to the career that we've chosen to do best by our patients, regardless of their personal beliefs, their ethical background, their weight, their sexual practices, what have you. I think it can be challenging at times because throughout our education, we are taught, certain risk factors, right? And some of that falls into things that are, a person of a certain racial background has an increased risk for X, or sexual practices increase your risk for Y. And so we have to be aware of that naturally as part of practicing medicine, but we also have to be conscious to not let it impact how we're approaching people as individuals. And I think that kind of leads into the final objective, which is creating a plan for reducing the impact of bias on patient care. And this was reiterated in every single assignment that we did in the past few weeks. I think every single person's response concluded with, treat the patient as an individual, approach patient care, in an individualized manner, looking at the person as a whole, all of their risk factors, their background, certainly being aware of the things that put them at higher risk for certain diseases or conditions or what have you. But not having your own beliefs about their background, their sexuality, their religion, and letting that impact your thought process. And I have no doubt that everyone in our cohort has done an amazing job at identifying this as a necessity moving forward in medical practice. And I'm really proud to be a part of this class because I feel like I don't have any concerns. I think that, we all have bias, and I think our class has done a really, really graceful job at identifying, where those biases lie and how we're going to address them moving forward.